Hello, welcome back. It's been a hot minute. It's good to see you guys again. A lot has changed. My hair is, yes, longer. Been growing it out since that New York trip last August. We also have a new couch, since I think you've seen in our last update. So things are moving, life is going on, things have been busy. But yeah, glad you're here. Today I wanted to share a little bit about my film photography journey. And it all started with this little guy. So, story time. As some of you know, my wife and I traveled to Asia last fall, and we went to a bunch of countries, and when we were in Central Asia, our team was able to go souvenir shopping at a local mall. We went up to the top floor and they had a lot of souvenirs and a lot of knickknacks and stuff, but I saw in one of the shelves, so I was like, oh, they're actually displaying some cameras. And my first thought was just, this looks cool. I don't really have any use for the other souvenirs. The big question was, I wonder if it works, you know? This would look cool, but you know, if it actually shoots film, then because I've never stepped into film photography before. My jump into photography was in high school with digital photography, a digiphoto class, and that year was kind of like one of the first years they were actually ditching their darkroom program, and so they were switching entirely to digital, so I kind of missed that window of stepping into film. So figured out how much it was, ended up buying it. So upon getting home, the question was like, okay, where do I start? How do I operate this thing? This thing is not in English. This is actually in Russian. It's a Soviet version of a Leica camera. It's called the Fed 2, and I can do a deeper dive into the camera itself later if you want. There's a lot of other YouTubers that kind of go into these vintage cameras, but yeah, it's entirely manual, no electronics whatsoever, no light meter, which has been the biggest hurdle. I met up with a friend in Austin who's more versed in film cameras, and we found out how to open it, and there was actually film inside. So I actually got that developed here in Austin and found these vintage photos, pretty crazy. Don't know how old these guys are, but you know, it's kind of fun to wonder about and think like, man, this family, these people from halfway across the world, you know, what were their lives like and all that. So that was a fun little treasure that we found, but found out how to load this guy, and around Christmas time, I think, 2022, I started my first roll. So want to share with you guys a little bit about the first couple rolls and my journey and my learning experience. And I actually just got my third roll of film developed and emailed back to me, and I have not opened them. So I'm going to do a little reaction at the end. So the first roll, use Kodak Gold 200, pretty safe starting point. My main issue the first time around was the loading and unloading of the film, and yeah, it was my very first time, you know, ever in my life. I was like unsure of how many shots I had wasted in the beginning as I was trying to wind the film. I was kind of guessing in the dark, and I think even the first few shots I took, I wasn't winding the film all the way around. Not sure. So anyway, the first few shots were butchered, and because of that, when I was nearing the end of my roll, I didn't know when to stop or when my roll was done. And I tried to wind it once more, and I felt some tension, and some reason I kept going, and I felt a snap. And I'm like, oh no, that's not a good sound. Ultimately, after a little while, I was like, okay, screw it. I'm gonna open this and see what happened. So I turned off the lights, you know, and like peeked the back, and yeah, that confirmed that the film had totally come out of the spool and was like settled on the other side that was the used side. And so I was like, okay, I have no idea how to get this back into the spool, and I'm just gonna like, in the dark, kind of like take this whole thing out that's kind of unraveling and stuff it in a canister and hope for the best. So that was my first roll of film experience. And because of that, I only got a handful of shots back. As you can see, they're a little damaged, maybe scratched or something. There were a lot of light leaks. So it adds character, but it's like, okay, this was an interesting starting point. Obviously getting that first roll back was like really exhilarating, and like, as I'm sure a lot of film photographers have experienced, like just that aspect of waiting and the uncertainty was, yeah, it really drew me in. And after that first roll, I was hooked. So roll number 2 was a lot more careful with loading and unloading this time. I used Cinestill 400D. Yeah, I was pretty happy with getting more shots back that survived the process. Upon rewinding the film back, it took a lot longer than I thought, and so I actually peeked open the back, and I was like almost done with rewinding the film, but not quite. So a few shots towards the front of the roll got a little, I don't know, sunburnt, you could say. Yeah, got a lot of family photos, a lot of just generic day in the life, and it's been fun to capture kind of life and look at life from a new perspective or a new kind of way of looking. And it's definitely making me slow down, be more thorough about what I'm shooting, when I'm shooting. Obviously because you're limited in the amount of shots you have and it's expensive, but also just, yeah, being more particular in like, okay, composing and what I want in the shot, because it is such a manual process, you know? So that brings us to roll number 3. I literally just opened the zip file. You film photographers probably know, if you're not like developing and scanning at home, like waiting to get your stuff back is like a very exciting time. So here we go. I'm excited to see. Okay, these turned out pretty well. I saw these 3 birds just chilling, and it's like, okay, I had to get a shot of those guys. Yeah, so far the colors look great, a lot of detail. This kind of photo outing, there's a lot of shadows and highlights, so loving the way it captured all of those. And got some action shots. Yeah, this was kind of challenging because obviously you gotta wait for the right moment and you're not sure when that moment's come. So a lot of waiting. Ooh, okay. This was a portrait of my friend Nathan. This was his birthday. And okay, now I see not to do such a strong backlight because his face is totally washed out. Oh well. And I took 2 because the first shot, my hair that's getting longer, like it was blowing in front of the lens. And so I was like, oh man, I need to get a second one, but I guess it didn't matter. Oh well. Some cows, because we're in Texas, and another volleyball shot. Yeah, this is a lot softer than I was expecting. Yeah, sports and film is hard, especially given my camera and my limitations. So this shot, I was hoping there was something more exciting, but yeah, sad. So yeah, that's roll number 3. I'm excited just to keep using this guy, and it's not the fastest to use camera when, you know, out on the street or trying to set up portraits really quick, but I've been enjoying the process of slowing down and kind of the softness of the look that it's bringing too. It's a nice contrast to our everyday digital social media stuff. So if there's anything else you want to learn or hear about my journey, if there's anything about the camera in particular you want to know about, let me know in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to share. Let me know. Subscribe if you want, and have a great day. We'll see ya.
I'm back in that, yeah. What you doing? Yeah. I'm back in that, hey. Where you going? Hey.